March Madness has officially tipped off and Selection Sunday did not disappoint. UCLA ended up with the overall #1 pick, y'all, sliding the South Carolina girls, and I have got some bold predictions. You don't have to wait to the end of this video. Here are my Final Four predictions. But if you want to figure out how I got here, welcome back to a new episode of The Post Up. I'm DJ Treacy Trees, and today I'll be running my mouth about NCAA Women's Basketball March Madness. Let's go. All right, first things first, I use the ESPN Fantasy app to create my bracket because the bracket coverage was already on ESPN and they loaded the bracket up there. They also have a challenge if you want to like compete. It's not like paid fantasy where you gotta like put money in there or anything. You can just join somebody's group or just fill out your bracket and submit it for like national recognition if you're right. So I'm gonna go through pick by pick right here in the app. It's already done for me. Let's do the work. Let's go. Okay, so talking through my first bracket, let's go through Region 1 first. So UCLA got the overall #1 pick. So they are first here in Region 1 against UC San Diego or some other team. But the other two teams have to play first to see who the winner is. It doesn't matter who wins that game. UCLA is going to move on to the next round. So of course I got UCLA. Georgia Tech versus Richmond. I got the Yellow Jackets. They've been doing a great job. Got a lot of good momentum. They were super excited on the video too. So of course, let's go with Georgia Tech there. Ole Miss versus Ball State. Now I'm from Indiana. Got a lot of love for the Ball State Cardinals. But okay, Ole Miss. Coach Yo, Ole Miss. Let's go there. Next up, Baylor versus Grand Canyon. Baylor. All day. Baylor. They going far. Baylor. All right, Florida State versus George Mason. The Seminoles. Got to go with Florida State. 6 seed. I do have some upsets in here, but we'll see where those go. Let's just keep going pick by pick so you can see where I got to the Gamecocks winning the championship. All right, next up, LSU versus San Diego State in round 1. Kim Mulkey said that the team is ready to play. I'm going to take LSU there. Michigan State versus Harvard. I'm taking the upset. Harvard. They got a lot of good momentum. Harmony is balling. Let's take Harvard, the #10 pick there. NC State versus Vermont. NC State, #2 pick. They're a great team. I think they'll have a lot of momentum going into the tournament. Sticking into Region 1. Let's just go region all the way through, okay? Region 1, UCLA versus Georgia Tech. That game, I got UCLA taking it too. All right. Ole Miss versus Baylor. I got Baylor taking that. Again, moving farther. Florida State versus LSU. The upset here, I have the Seminoles actually beating LSU. I hope Flaugier is in good playing order. But I just think that LSU is not going to make it as far as they normally do in the tournament this year. Harvard, NC State, another upset, Harvard. That's what I'm going with. Another upset, Harvard. All right, moving on to the Sweet 16 in this region. UCLA versus Baylor. That's a hard one, but I think UCLA are going to beat the Bears. And then Florida State versus Harvard. I'm going to take Florida State in Harvard's dance right there. So it'll be UCLA versus Florida State in the final rounds of this region on my side. But I do have UCLA winning against Florida State and winning the whole region. That's Region 1. Let's move on to Region 2, y'all. #1 pick in this region, South Carolina Gamecocks. I have them winning the whole thing. So, of course, I got them beating Tennessee Tech in the first round. Utah versus Indiana. Again, Hoosier by heart, but the Utah Utes got it. Big shouts out to Coach Lynn Roberts, now of the LA Sparks. Glad to see her team is still winning in her absence. Proof that she created a great program that can just be passed on to someone else. All right, I digress. Alabama versus Green Bay. Alabama, all the way. Maryland versus Norfolk State. I have an upset here. Norfolk State over Maryland. I'm thinking you shouldn't sleep on the HBCU, and they're gonna get to the dance and they're gonna act right. All right, next up, West Virginia, and then I think that's Columbia and Washington for the Huskies. I do think the Huskies are gonna win that game, but I still got West Virginia taking that round. Next, North Carolina versus Oregon State. I got North Carolina beating them. 3 seed over 14 seed, even with all the, I'm gonna give it to North Carolina. Vanderbilt versus Oregon. I'm going to give it to Vandy. Duke versus Lehigh. I'm going to give it to Duke. Next round. South Carolina versus Utah. You've got to go at that point in South Carolina. Alabama over Norfolk State. I got Norfolk State advancing to the Sweet 16 in the big dance. West Virginia, North Carolina. I'm giving it to North Carolina. I'm not sure if that's going to come back to bite me, but I was on the fence about that. But I am going to give it to North Carolina. Y'all better act right. Vandy over Duke. Nah, we're going to give it to Duke in that one. Moving on to the final rounds here. South Carolina over Norfolk State in their dance there. Very similar to the Harvard in Region 1. South Carolina, Duke over North Carolina. So North Carolina makes their exit there. So it'll be South Carolina versus Duke in the finals for this region. Of course, South Carolina is going to beat Duke. That's regions 1 and 2. Let's move to region 3. Texas. Okay, I think that one's William and Mary and another university that's smaller that won their conference. Texas over them. Illinois over Creighton. I have an upset immediately for Illinois. I think Creighton is going to take that one. Tennessee over South Florida for the next one. Ohio State over Montana State. Michigan over ISU and Princeton. Notre Dame over Stephen F. Austin. I do think Notre Dame is not going to get as far as people think they are, but let's keep going. I got Louisville over Nebraska. TCU over Fair Dickinson. Then I have Texas over Creighton in that next round. Tennessee over Ohio State in that next round. That's huge. Michigan over Notre Dame. Notre Dame over Michigan. So I do have Notre Dame beating a Big Ten rival and moving on. Then I have Louisville over TCU. And a lot of people might not like that pick because Haley Van Lith is there, but I don't think they're going to be able to take that Louisville team. So I have them moving on. And then I have Tennessee upsetting Texas. Lady Vols. For some reason, I feel like they're going to get it done here and move on. And then I have Louisville upsetting Notre Dame. I don't think Notre Dame is going to go any farther than that. I think the Louisville team will have it, and Louisville will beat Tennessee. I am, for some reason, feeling like Louisville is going to come to the tournament and compete. So Louisville, don't break my bracket. You hear what I say? Moving on to Region 4. Let's go. All right, USC number 1 seed here, of course. I have them over UNC. Then I have Cal over Mississippi State, Kansas State over Fairfield, Kentucky over Liberty, Iowa over Murray State, Oklahoma over FGCU, Oklahoma State over South Dakota State, UConn over Arkansas State. Next round, USC over Cal, Kentucky over Kansas State, Oklahoma over Iowa in their dance, UConn over Oklahoma State, and then I have USC over Kentucky, and I have Oklahoma over UConn, meaning USC and UConn will meet for this region, and I do have UConn over USC. I know with Juju being there, that's a lot, but I think this is Paige Becker's year. AZ Fudd, they've been doing their thing. So my Final Four is UCLA versus UConn. And I have South Carolina over Louisville. I'm taking UConn over UCLA and South Carolina over Louisville to make my championship picks UConn versus South Carolina. And I think the Gamecocks are going to win another championship under Don Staley. That was a lot, but I hope you followed me here, and I will continue to cover game by game on Infinity TV, as well as right here on the Post Up. March Madness is my time. It is exciting to watch these girls and also to watch them as they matriculate into the WNBA, y'all. It is going to be an exciting March Madness. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Post Up. I go by the name of DJ Treacy Treese, and I'm always posted up right here, running my mouth about sports. If you are listening in the audio version, leave me a comment. Let me know you listening out there. Tag me on Instagram at DJ Treacy Treese. That's at DJ TRICEY. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, and I can't wait to talk about the big dance. I'm right. I'm right on a lot of my picks. Mark my word on that.